If Lisa's.
Okay, are we ready? Again? This is our Stevens Plantation Improvement Project meeting, our DSD, meeting this February the 3rd, 2022. With that, I'll call this meeting to order, and Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Chairman Blackwell?
Here.
Vice Chairman Matheny?
Here.
Member Urban?
Here.
Member Askew?
Here.
Member Trace?
Here.
Madam Clerk, will you please read the first resolution?
Resolution number 2022-01R, a resolution of the Board of the Stevens Plantation Improvement Project Dependent Special District approving and accepting a First Amendment to the October 3rd, 2021 contract to sell lots 1, 2, 4, and 5 of the Nolte Road Commercial Park of Stevens Plantation, approximately 6.8 acres of real property to EMF of Winter Park, Inc. for $1,320,000 and authorizing the chairman or in his absence the vice chairman to execute the amendment and all documents necessary to complete the sale.
Mr. Manzares.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So before you, the map back up. Before you is an item to consider requested First Amendment to the existing agreement for the acquisition of these 4 lots at the Stephen retail site. The buyer, as you recall, is EMF of Winter Park, and as it was read in the resolution, the purchase price is $1,320,000 for about the 6 acres on it. There are 2 issues that are related to the amendment tonight. The first is as you recall, the contract had a fairly quick due diligence period and then a closing period that has gotten delayed through, I think, issues beyond the control of the buyer. And so the closing, we're asking that the closing date be extended to February 28th as part of this amendment. The agreement had a very significant earnest money deposit of $100,000. That deposit money has now basically has gone hard. It's non-refundable. So we felt it was appropriate to have a closing date of a short period of time so that the project can close, the sale could close by the end of February. As you remember, one of our main goals was to get these properties sold prior to the upcoming tax year. So if it closes up by February, the end of February, we will be okay there. The other item related to it is there's 2 items, and I guess now you can flip back. There are 2 items that are that have been working on that Ismail Abreu from the city has been working on for a considerable amount of time that you might recall was under discussion well before we had this contract. The first was the amendment to the PUD to allow for a multi-use sign for these properties. And the second one has to do with the abandonment or release of an ingress-egress easement that existed with the telecommunication company that was there. Bismail has worked out both of those issues. However, they both require further action by the City Council to move forward. The amendment to the PUD is obviously a zoning issue, and the abandonment is also an action that will a requirement by the City Council to take action. So essentially what this agreement does is it extends the closing date to February 28th of 2022. Confirms that the existing deposit is now non-refundable, except for in the event that the DSD were to default on the contract, and then provides that those 2 items will be taking place after the closing because we want to get this thing closed as quickly as possible, and the buyer has agreed to that, and they've also signed off on the First Amendment. Mr. Abreu is here. He can talk about those particular issues if you need to do that. Veronica Malolas and the buyer's representative are also here if you have any questions for them. But tonight we're asking for the DSD board to approve the First Amendment to this agreement as set forth in Resolution 2022-001R.
All right, so are you wanting the amendments to be addressed first? Or
No,
it all in one motion?
It's all in one. Just
in
if
one
you
package.
approve the resolution as presented, it would adopt the First Amendment to the agreement, which the buyer has already signed off on and we have present. So we're encouraged by the responsiveness of the buyer in this case as compared to some other ones we've dealt with on this project.
Thank you. Is staff wanting to speak to this? Ms. Malois? Do we have any questions, or Council Member Matheny?
Thank you. I'm not opposed to any of this, but I guess I just want a clarification. When it says all we're responsible for is just amending the PUD, right? We're not gonna have to construct the multi-tenant sign, or
Nope.
okay.
Correct.
And then abandonment or release of the ingress egress, that's mostly gonna require some construction on the city's side, right? Because I thought there was, is
No.
it just a paperwork issue, or is this obligating us to some construction dollars?
Abismael Abreu, Strategic Initiative Analyst. This is just public hearings, no constructions or anything like that. It's just going through the process. of
So
the
we
public
don't
hearing.
have to actually make any changes on the ground to
What-
effectuate that easement being vacated?
I think Bismael's being a little humble here. He figured out a way essentially to get them ingress, egress to existing areas and then remove this. And I'm
So,
sort
so
of,
that the city doesn't have to spend.
so that nothing
a
had
lot.
to change.
That's,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I just wanted to double check that we weren't obligated to construction dollars on the backside that we
no.
weren't aware. But I don't have any objection to it. I'll make a motion to approve.
Member Trace?
Second, I was going to ask the exact same question, so.
So you don't have any other questions?
Yep.
We have a motion from Member Matheny, a second from Member Trace. Do we have any other discussion? Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on this?
Vice Chairman Matheny,
Aye.
Member Urban,
Aye.
Member Askew,
Aye.
Member Trace,
Aye.
Chairman Blackwell.
Big aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
We do not have any other items on our DSD agenda, unless somebody doesn't want to go home. With that, we will be adjourned. Is that the quickest bid?